All right, we are back at Ellendale. Of course, we're remembering Dr. Jerry Haydel, celebrating his life. And as promised, I've been telling you that we were going to have the four sons hit my four sons, okay? And we have Carl. I'm going in the pecking order here, all right? Carl, Michael, Larry, and Patrick. And what a household that was. And we're going to get to hopefully some of the girls in a second. But Carl, let me start with you. You know, it's a sad time, but God, it's so fun to remember your daddy. So many people come up with these stories, and I'm going, I never heard that one. There are thousands of stories out there about your dad. Well, what kind of stories would you have about your dad?
There are a lot of stories. He did a lot of things. I think Father Jay mentioned it about when we were at Grand Isle. He backed up the blue station wagon into the boat launch with no trailer on it. He backed it down there, and he looked back there. We all looked at each other, started cracking up laughing. And he looked at all of us like, you know, he pulled it out, fussing at us. Like, what's wrong with y'all? What y'all didn't put the trail on there for? And it was like, okay, well, you know, we didn't back up the car in the water. So anyway, that's a story. And then Father Jay kind of messed up the thing about when Nally was having labor pains at the house. He called it Briggs and Stratton contractions with a straight face. I said, Dad, Briggs and Stratton? I said, that's your mud boat. I said, Braxton Hicks. Well, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Well, yeah, you know. And so, you know, it is priceless. It is priceless. So the stories go on and on and on and on. And so, but anyway, he touched so many people's lives in so many ways, and so many people adore him. He was hard on us, though. Yeah. He was hard on his sons. And, but he wasn't always our friend, but he had a purpose. Yeah. And I'll say this thing too, and I'll say it, that he never once said, Carl, you need to be a doctor, you need to go to med school. He didn't have to. He created an environment around us that we watched what he did, he loved what he did, he was proud of what he did. And it's like, there was no other choice. There was no other choice but to follow in those footsteps. He didn't have to say a word. And then once I got into med school, and then Mike and Larry were like, well, if Carl can do it, anybody can do it. And Daddy. That's true.
That's a good point, Carl.
So it is a good point. They're like, well, shit, he can do it. Well, I can do it. I can do it too. So anybody can do it.
You know, let me just ask you, and all brothers will have equal time, I promise you. When growing up, we remember the Dr. Jerry after I quit. You know, we all quit being teenagers. He was strict. You're right, he was strict. But he started getting fun and funny at one point. I guess the pressure was off. He didn't feel that pressure anymore. He was the biggest clown of anyone. He knew how to cut up and have fun.
That he did. Oh,
when did you see that change? When he quit being all on Carl, but then he started having fun?
Well, I don't know. That's a hard one to say for me, because I was off in school. So for the better part, you know, when I left to college, I really never came back. And so I think probably Patrick was there probably for a lot longer period of time when maybe those things started happening. But for me, no, he was always tough. In my eyes, he was always tough on me.
Did you get the piano playing by watching your dad?
They made me take piano lessons. While y'all were outside playing football in the rain, they made me sit in there and take piano lessons. And I hated it. And I hated it with a passion. But what they gave me was a gift. They gave me a gift of something that I love to do today. Right. And at the time, I hated it.
Now we can't get you away from the piano.
And now you can't get me away from the piano. So it was a gift. It was just a gift they gave. And you don't know the gift they give you until later in life.
Let me say this as we're about to go to a break. Remember that time you were playing the piano and I was singing Easy, and we kept singing it and going over everything. We'd mess up singing again, and we're talking in the microphone and we're cutting up. And then your mama comes around the corner and said, why y'all quit, boys? And we was like, what do you mean? She goes, me and Dr. Jerry have been listening to you on the intercom in the room the whole time. They had the intercom on. Remember that?
I remember, yeah, Easy like Sunday morning. Lionel Richie, we did a lot of Lionel Richie.
Yeah.
So yes.
But strict is how you remember him, but put you on strict but fair, put you on the right path.
I would say strict and fair. Yes, I would say he's fair. He was fair.
Yeah.
He was fair.
But he was definitely a pioneer, as Larry said during his eulogy.
He was a pioneer. He was definitely a pioneer. He wasn't scared. He wasn't scared. And I'll say one other thing, and I'm going to pass it on to Michael because it's Michael's turn, is that in medicine, when he made a medical decision, he was as confident as anybody can be confident in his medical decision making. He knew what to do. He never second guessed himself. An air of confidence from early on. You know, so he's done a lot of good. So anyway.
I would say that air of confidence would be a
Yeah.
good way to describe Dr. Jerry. And, of course, we're going to a quick break here. When we come back, we're going to talk with Dr. Michael Haydel, who, if this show is about Mike, I could tell you a lot of stories about Mike, but it's about Dr. Jerry, so I'll let him tell you stories about Dr. Jerry. But certainly, we're celebrating Dr. Jerry Haydel's life. We'll take a short break here from Ellendale. When we come back, Dr. Mike Haydel will have the floor. It's all next. Don't go away.